Good morning. It is now straight up 10 a.m. This is the Bingo Advisory Committee meeting at the Texas Lottery Commission. We'll call the meeting to order at 10 a.m. and we're going to go through the American Pledge and the Texas Pledge. Mr. Michael Untitled, would you please lead us, sir?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
Liberty and justice for all.
honor the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag.
Pledge allegiance to thee,
Texas.
Texas,
One
state,
under
under God,
one
and
and
indivisible.
We're going to move on. Jason Pohl. Here. Tommy Duncan. Here. Veronica.
Here.
Melody Green is absent today. Michael Anastasio. Emil.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, he's up
there.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. All right, move on to meeting minutes from February 10th, 2023. I've read the meeting minutes as printed. Any public comment on the meeting minutes? Any comments from the BAC members? Okay. We'll get an approval for
Make a motion to approve.
Tommy made the motion to approve the minutes as printed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting minutes are approved. Moving on to number 6, website review. We have a presentation by Scott Semigren, web developer, Information Technology Division, Texas Lottery Commission, about the website and related issues. Sorry, I accidentally skipped Corey on the roll call there. Corey, are you with us?
I am in fact with you. Good morning.
I'm sorry about that, Corey.
Not at all.
Got a little ahead of myself. Okay, Scott, did I say that properly? Semigren?
Yes, Scott Semigren. I'm the webmaster for the Texas Lottery.
Right, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. You bring it. There we go. Anyway, I came here today to discuss, there was a redesign project for txbingo.org that launched in 2019. I was just tell the history of that. I was part of that redesign project for the current website. So in 2019, Bingo hired a contractor to redesign the txbingo.org website. The photo that you see here is what the website looked like in 2019. It had been this particular design since 2007. The contractor was tasked with 2 things. 1, he was to create an updated and visually appealing design. And 2, he was also tasked with figuring out who exactly was coming to the website and organize these users into categories. This was his user-focused approach. Once he categorized these users, he then organized the website content accordingly for these users. All right, first I'll talk about the updated design. So we tasked the contractor with creating a mobile-first website design. The statistics we were seeing in 2019 about how users were accessing txlottery.org and txbingo.org were showing that 65% of the users were browsing on a mobile device like a tablet or a cell phone. Web design at the time for txbingo.org was originally launched in 2007, and it was not mobile friendly. So the contractor developed 3 designs to pick from, and the bingo staff selected the design that you see today. So on the right there, that's a picture of the current design's mobile view when someone is on a cell phone. So now I'm going to talk about the user-focused approach. On the previous iteration of txbingo.org, the content was generally organized around bingo forums, and there was approximately 140 of these forums. And this was confusing for most of the users and generated a lot of phone calls for the bingo staff. So to alleviate this problem, the contractor read through all the forms and talked to the bingo staff, as well as the content that was on the website, and categorized these types of users that were calling, requesting these forms. And then the contractor then created a homepage which siloed these users into these categories. So rather than organizing the site around things like terms like lessors, they were looking at who was calling the bingo staff and what they were asking for. And so on this particular slide, this photo shows conductors selected, and then the content, it appears in the middle of what they can do. When they click their category, they're presented with a page that only displays the forms that they need rather than all the forms, which made it much easier for the users. And so on this particular example, they've selected conductors already licensed, and so they'll see only the forms that are related to what they need since they already have a license, as well as links to BSP. A visually appealing logo for BSP was created to highlight links where information can be submitted via the BSP rather than downloading the forms. And you can see this logo appears in the header in the upper right. And it also appears throughout the content where someone could click that particular logo and it goes to the BSP to do that particular function. In addition to what the contractor did for the redesign, the Texas Lottery web team created a new forms page for txbingo.org. And this is a scripted table that allows users to search and sort and organize the forms more easily, rather than having dozens of web pages where the various forms were spread across all of them, which was very confusing. So this created a centralized, organized, and searchable web page, and is a vast improvement from its previous iteration. And also looking at the statistics, the forms page was by and far the largest amount of traffic. And so that's why it appears first in the menu, and it has the white chiclet bubble that highlights forms. So after 9 months of development, the new website for TX Bingo was launched in September of 2019. And in 2022, txbingo.org received a total of 90,594 unique visitors for the year and 676,244 page views for the website. We're going to show the website in action for a little bit. So if someone comes to the bingo homepage and they hover over the gray boxes to the left and they click one, they'll be presented with some options for that particular type of user, which in this case, are they conducting a bingo occasion, which is kind of the terminology that people were using when they called, rather than saying I'm a conductor or lessor, or some of the more specific terms. And on the right, they can see that, have they already conducted a bingo, or is this their first time? That was also one of the main questions they would ask someone that would call. So Philip, if you could click, before you go, I would like to highlight that the BSP logo, which you see in the upper right, which is clickable to BSP, also appears throughout the content. And that denotes that that particular form that's highlighted there, like amend a license, can also be done within the BSP. But if you could click the first sentence under nonprofits. So if someone clicks under nonprofits, it then takes them to a page where it only lists the forms that are for this type of user, as well as also displaying the BSP logo to show that this type of form could be done within the BSP. We also wanted to create kind of a fun design for users too. Before it was kind of a staid design that was mostly text. And so that's where some of these users and the imagery comes in for this particular page. I also like to highlight if you click the forms on the top. So this is the new forms page that was developed in 2019. And so this offers a one-stop shop for all the forms. And so if you click the type heading above the left column where it says type, the type of forms to display, and then it will sort. If you select one, it'll sort the table by those particular forms. You can select any one. Or if you know a form ID, you can, in the search box, you can type a form ID and it'll just sort by that. So 062 or 082. Now, this functionality wasn't with the previous version of the website. Also, when this site was originally designed, there was not a lot of content for the BAC meetings, because originally it was just to have a link that went to the lottery legal page, since the legal staff organized that. So after the design, that particular section was expanded a little bit. So this particular page was actually expanded. Originally just had a single link to the lottery legal notices page. So this additional content was added after the site was launched to expand on the content for the BAC. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Or you have any questions?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. In one of your first slides, I did have a small question. You had a difference in unique visitors and assuming regular users. What separates those two? How do you define a unique visitor?
So the web server can tell if visitors are unique. So I was just totaling up. So let's say a user comes to the site continuously, and they would be a repeated user. So I was just trying to silo it down to unique visitors.
Like a one-time user?
Just one individual, one PC.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Typically, a unique visitor would be somebody who's never visited or has never had that IP address hit the website before. All right, because each one of us, as we log in, we have an IP address on our computer. So if that IP address is flagged by visiting that website, the first time, that's a unique visitor. Every time after that, you're just a visitor. So it won't be registered the same way.
That's true. And then the other statistic was for page views.
Gotcha.
I do have a question. Can you click on statewide reports?
Yes. This is a report that's actually in BSP, which is the application, the bingo service portal.
Right. Well, you see, we got current active licenses and stuff. Can we add a line for like licenses revoked or suspended or whatever? It would certainly help the distributors, because sometimes these people keep calling and we don't get a notification that they don't have a license. See what I'm saying? You give them a notification, but we don't. And if we look it up, sometimes they're still on the active deal. You know, we can check the delinquent list for COD, but but we have no idea if for any reason that their license has been suspended or revoked.
So this list is for public reports that don't require a login for BSP. So I guess it would depend if that was public information
I see.
or not. If it is, it could be added, but that's what this specific list is for.
I haven't seen it in either one. That's, see what I'm saying?
Like, a service request can be submitted and the lines could be added.
Right.
So is that if we see something in particular that might be of service to the industry or to the general public, that would be the way to get the idea to y'all is to put in what was it?
Service request.
Service request.
That's
So
right.
that would be the best way to do that.
Yes, sir.
You can do that online as well. Or does that have to be in paper?
LaDonna would do that.
Okay.
Can do that, but for now, what you're just telling me, I'm sorry, I can't read it. It's in the dark, but if it says that you can get a list of active conductors, then you can certainly search that list, right? If you have a question.
Right.
Okay. So for now, you've at least got that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not always removed. Now, how we have to look for it is we have to go to the bingo hall locator because that's where you pull it from on the website.
Okay.
If they played at a location and we know where it is, we can go back and look. If they've been removed, we know they don't have a license anymore. But, it'd be nice to get some notification or something, because the distributors can be put in a bad position by trusting
Sure.
their customer.
Sure. Okay. Let's continue talking about that one, Tom. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any from the public? Hey, Scott, thank you very much. If you have anything else to add to your presentation,
No, I don't. Thank you.
well, we certainly appreciate that. That was very informative. I certainly learned a lot about it that I didn't know. So awesome job. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to number 7, audit discussion, presentation by Nicole Domain, lead auditor coordinator, charitable bingo operations division, about the audit process and related record keeping forms. Welcome, Nicole. Good to see you again.
Morning, how y'all doing?
Excellent.
I'm gonna be talking about the services department, charitable bingo operations division of the Texas Lottery Commission. We conduct a variety of audits and inspection activities. Our responsibilities are an integral part of the division's statutory charge by control and supervision over bingo in the state to ensure that bingo is fairly conducted and the proceeds from bingo are used for authorized purposes. The Bingo Enabling Act and the Charitable Bingo Administrative Rules require licensees to maintain certain documentation. The objective for audit and inspection is to determine whether a licensee is in compliance with the Bingo Enabling Act and the rules during the specified review period. So each year we have an audit plan, and so that audit plan we provide that to the commissioners each year. The audit plan includes our annual risk assessments, audit and inspection work, the resource allocations for the upcoming fiscal year. Okay, so one of our the annual risk assessment, the risk factors for an audit based on the act is one of them is gross receipts, expenses as percentage of gross receipts, the net proceeds as expenses as percentage of gross receipts, and charitable distributions as a percentage of gross receipts. We also have a risk assessment for our game inspections, and those risk assessments or risk factors are gross receipts reported for a playing location, the time since the last game inspection at a location. And then we also have a quarterly risk assessment. The purpose of this quarterly risk assessment is to capture our most recent trends. Our quarterly risk assessment is for our financial desk reviews. And so we use that for the financial desk review for each quarter. The objectives and testings for the financial desk review projects are based on missed risk assessments that identify in missed risk assessment. And the factors include, we have charitable distributions, are they properly reported? Are they documented? Did you go back to? Okay, and then we also have payroll expenses to make sure that they are properly reported, rent and rent related expenses, and then we also look at prizes paid and prize fees withheld. Okay, so we have multiple types of programs. We have our audit program and we have our inspection program. The audit program includes our conductor compliance reviews. That's a full scope of what we consider high risk. We have limited scope reviews and financial desk reviews. The limited scope is usually limited. It could be a follow-up from an audit from the past. It could be a request from management or a request from licensees. And then financial desk reviews, this is limited, maybe just one objective, maybe only look at charitable distributions. We also have our inspection program, which is our game inspections, where the auditors go out and look at, observe a game inspection. We also have game observations, which is part of our CCR, which is our conductor compliance review. Normally during an interest conference, we would go to the we would have a game observation at the interest conference for a CCR. We also do destructions. That's where our organizations have maybe old paper pool tabs that they want to destroy. So we would go out as the audit service department and witness those. We do the testing of the electronic card money devices and also bingo complaint investigation. So our process, our audit projects are based on the risk assessment or upon request. So the auditor will request a audit project. We do a notification memo. Then the auditor put together an engagement letter. We send that engagement letter out. We also send an email along with the engagement letter. And about 10 days, we will call the organization, kind of go over what we're going to be doing, scheduling interest conference. If it's a conductor compliance review, we will also send an internal questionnaire that just kind of goes over like the different bases of your organization. You know, what's your bank account? Who's your bookkeeper? Who's the, you know, all your calls and cashiers, how much to get paid, different things like that. During the interest conference, if it's on site, which would be a conductor compliance reviews, we would collect your records, go over your operations with you during the interest conference. And then once the interest conference is done, we gather the records, go and do our fieldwork testing. Once the testing is done, it goes through a review process and quality control process. And once that's done, then we will schedule an exit conference with the organizations to go over the results of the audit. During the reporting phase, we have a draft audit report that we would send out like 3 days prior to the exit conference. And so the organizations can go over the findings in the draft report. Once that's done, when we had an exit conference, we would go over that. We would go over the draft report during the exit conference. And then we would ask the organization, you can send them management responses. You can say you agree, disagree with the audit, whatever corrections that you've done, you put all that in your management responses, and then that will be included in the final audit report if you provide management responses, and that would be sent out by mail, and also we send that out by email. All our audits and inspection activities are conducted in accordance with the professional standards set forth in our BAMS manual, which is the bingo audit methodology and standards handbook. Provides a framework for performing high quality audit work with integrity, objectivity, and independence. The Audit Services Department conforms to all policies and procedures of the Texas Lottery Commission. Depending on the type of project assigned, which is a unit or just an organization, we require certain records to be provided. And so those are not limited to this list, but it's the bank records, your occasion records, like your occasion cash report, daily schedule of prizes, expense reports, inventory, your sales journal, disbursement journal, where you track all your expenses, the quarterly report, the charitable distribution details for conductors and unit members. That's where you list all your charitable activities and any of your charitable distribution records. These forms are for record keeping, and they must include all the information required to comply with the act and the rules. So the bank records are basically your bingo checking account, which would include your bank statements, any bank reconciliations the organization has, cancel checks, deposit slips, all your EFT, electronic fund information, and a check registry. Bingo savings account, I mean, a lot of people don't have those anymore, but it's the same thing. It would be any organization, it would be an account that's receiving bingo funds. Also would be bank statements, reconciliations, cancel checks, deposit slips, and any EFT documentation and check register. Okay, so records requested for all accounts receiving bingo funds may include the bank statements, reconciliations, cancel checks, deposit slips, EFTs, any other documentation for verifying deposits or removal of bingo funds from the account. And also that would be for your charitable distributions also. We would need those accounts. The occasion records would be your occasion cash report. That's where you put all your sales, prizes, deposit information, prizes withheld information. There's schedule of prizes where you document all your prizes awarded. Floor sales by ushers. That's just, the form where each usher shows what he or she's, the paper that they sold, what they brought back, that type of thing. You would need your cash register tapes or card mining systems, reports, the game schedule that you use at the bingo occasion, and any other documentation that you would use to support your sales, your prizes, and your prize fees. Also, for you use those sales journals or your occasion cash report to do your overage and shortages and any funds that are available for deposit. Your expense records, that would include invoices, receipts, itemized billing statements from the bingo account. So anything you're paying, like you're paying for your distributor invoices, that type of thing, your utility receipts or invoices, payroll records. That's all the stuff to do with, who you're paying, your ushers, your cashiers, your call lists, how you're documenting that, your lease agreements, what is your need for your rent and everything. And if you have any type of that you're forgiving, you would put that letter also, you would include that letter. So any support that you have for your expenses. So you have to keep in mind that these organizations are required to maintain records for all expenditures and prior to the audit. So it should be done before we're requesting you to do an audit. So you see your records requirements in 42500. So expense records contain the following details about the goods or service. So when you send your invoice, it should have the name, the contact information of the person that's selling the goods or the services or providing the services. It should also have a good description of what's being, the goods or the service that's being provided, the quantity of the product or the service, and the price of each of those services. Because sometimes we get invoices that just have very little information. So the total amount that's billed, and then the date of the transaction. So payroll records, it should have the position work. That's kind of important because we need to know if it's a cost of the cashier, because a lot of times those people are getting paid different things. The cashier may be getting $50 an occasion. The usher may only get $25 a case. So we need to know the position worked, the date and the occasion number that was worked. So if they played two occasions, we know which occasion was the first occasion or the second occasion. The total hours worked, if it's per occasion, if it's paid hourly, the rate and the criteria. Some people get paid per occasion, some people get paid hourly. So that information needs to be documented. Also, we need the gross wages, the taxes and other deductions, and also the net payment amounts, net payroll amounts. Individual or the organization that's receiving the information. Your charitable, including the date and the amount of the occasion of the donation. Also, records to support charitable for an exempt organization. Again, invoices, receipts, any type of proof of payment for the expenses that have occurred, calendars, floor plans, the prorate an event, especially if you're sharing the expense. So we need to prorate what's bingo's portion, what's the donation portion from bingo versus what everybody else is giving. And so it can only be used for legitimate exempt use for charitable distributions. Also, some other things that we would need for your charitable distributions is your meeting minutes. A lot of people discuss what charitable activities they're going to be doing in their meeting minutes. So that's important in any charitable purposes documentation. Your inventory records. So we need, you're required to have inventory records for your paper and your pull tabs. And if you're responsible for the gross receipts and the prizes associated with any missing paper inventory or pull tab tickets. So make sure that you're documenting all your paper and your pull tabs on your inventory forms. For the disposable bingo cards, that's the paper inventory. You need to have the organization's or the unit's name. You also need the distributor's name and taxpayer number. And the taxpayer number also for your unit or organization. It should have the serial number and the serial number, the color of the paper or the border, using description for the top sheet for the ups pad. It should have the number of faces, which is the on, and the number of sheets, which is the ups. The number of sheets or ups pads for each serial number remaining after each occasion, and the occasion date the paper was used. It also should list for the pull tab tickets, it should also have the organization or the unit's name and taxpayer number, the date of purchase, the form number. The form number is very important. The serial number, how many tickets you sold per deal, the number of tickets that were sold by date, or that was damaged or missing, the number of tickets remaining if the deal is closed, and the occasion dates when the tickets were sold. So any of the other forms that we have, like the sales journal, keeps track of all your sales and for each occasion on one document. That's Form 76. The cash disbursement journal keeps track of all the expenses for the quarter, and the copies of the quarterly report by the unit or the organization, and documentation support the amount reported on each line. So everything that you have reported on there, the sales journal and the disbursement journal will be supported by that. The commonly used forms that we have in audit, all these forms are on our website that he just went over just a few minutes ago. So we have the bingo quarterly report is for Form 68 is for a single organization, and Form 69 is for an accounting unit, and these must not be altered. The charitable distributions detail for conductors and unit members, that's Form 129. That's a form where you list all your charitable activities. That one must not be altered. So then we have our occasion cash report, the sales, occasion schedule of prizes, floor sales by usher, sales journal, cash disbursement journal, perpetual inventory for both the paper and the tabs. Okay. So if you have questions about your audit, you can contact the assigned auditor or the regional audit coordinator. And any information that's on the website, you can go to our website, which is the bingo website.
Wow, that was a very in-depth presentation. Thank you. I'm sure there'll be some people that have some questions or comments. Anyone from the advisory committee so far? No? Any member of the public have a question for or about the audit process overview? Mr. Steve Finolio, I had a suspicion you might.
Stephen Finolio, attorney and member of the Texas Charity Advocates. I don't have any questions. Thorough presentation. Thank you. And it will answer a lot of the questions I've had from bingo conductor clients about explaining the audit process. Only one observation: in several of the pages, it uses a form ID. The forms themselves indicate when it's recommended as opposed to mandated maybe 20, 25 years ago in an audit, one of the auditors said, well, you have to use our form, for example, on daily cash report. That's not the case. You have to track certain information, whether you choose to use the form recommended by the bingo division or don't, as long as that information is tracked. So when I look at some of the language, it's suggesting strongly that you use the form, as opposed to the quarterly report form, which is clearly mandated. You don't have any choice but to use that form. Thank you. And again, thanks to the bingo division for doing this.
Okay, so I was gonna go over our record keeping forms. These are the forms that are on our website. And except for Form ID 68, 69, and 129, which is the quarterly report and the charitable distribution, these forms may be used as they are or customized for each organization's use. Please refer to the forms on our website to ensure the forms are used to include all the information required to comply with the Bingo Enablement Act and the Charitable Bingo Administrative Rules. And so this is our first form, the quarterly report. So this is where we put all your information from your bingo occasions, the total number of occasions, your sales, your income, your prize fees, your expenses, your distributions, all that is in there. This form can't be altered, so you have to use it as is. This is the second. So one of these forms is for the unit and the other one's for just the organization. This is our Form 129. This is the form where you list all your charitable distribution summary, you know, your date, who got the distribution, how much it was, what's your current amount that you gave out to charitable, and then there's also a part where you can give your future amounts for charitable. That's the Form 129. This one can't be altered either. Okay, so this is a sample of an occasion cash report. This is the one that's on our website. You don't have to use this exact form, but the information on the form needs to be put in there. So this is where you track all your regular bingo sales, your prizes, your pull tab sales, total all that up. You put your cash over short on here, your net deposit, petty cash, all that information is on this one. Next, keep on. Okay, this is our occasion schedule of prizes. This is where you document the number of winners, if it's a full or half pay, if it's a cash amount, if it's over $5 or under $5, all your pull tabs, prize information. So that will be, again, these are the forms that's on the website. You can, you know, as long as you have the information, you can call it a case schedule. We just want you to have the information. You don't have to use this actual form. This is our daily floor sales by ushers. So when each usher is selling paper, you put their name and then you give them a certain amount of paper. They document that with the price, the serial number, what was issued, what was returned, and what was sold, and you calculate that up. And so you can track what each usher should be bringing back or should have sold and on this form. This is one for multiple ushers. The next one is for, you know, three or less ushers. Next one is sales journal. This is where you keep track of all your sales for the quarter, your card sales, electronic sales, your card prizes, event prizes, your deposits, any type of attendance over short is on this page for the quarter. Again, you can have your own, you can use this form or keep this information on your own form. Next one is disbursement journal. Disbursement journal is where you keep track of all your expenses, so your utilities, cost of goods sold, your taxes, anything for your expenses for the quarter. That's where you would keep on this form. Some people use general ledgers with the accounting software. That's also okay. The next one. Okay, so this is our perpetual inventory. This is where you track, keeping track of the inventory you purchased. So with the beginning, the number sold, your balance, somebody should be initialing when they fill this form out, what was sold. So just make sure you keep this information. A lot of people make their own spreadsheet for this, so that's fine, as long as you have the required information. And the last one is our perpetual inventory and purchase log for our pull tab tickets. So whenever you're purchasing your tickets, you put on this form, including the form number, the serial number, the number of tickets, anything that's damaged, and your banner. So each occasion you would, put this, your purchase date for your pull tab tickets. Questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question goes to your schedule of prizes. You didn't mention the final game schedule that needs to be attached to each daily cash report.
It doesn't have to be.
A final game schedule does not have to be attached to every day? Okay. I was audited and I was told I must attach the final game schedule every day.
At one point, I think
Okay.
that was what was said, but
Okay.
you don't have to.
So then on the schedule of prizes, I guess one of the questions that popped up recently is like, we have one game that pays $150. And if it had 3 winners at the bottom, you say how many winners, then they said that that could be 3 $50 games. I don't think that's accurate. Is that?
So one game, someone won $150?
No, it was payout was $150, but there was 3 winners. So each one got $50. I was told that could be 3 games at $50. I think that's incorrect because there was only one game played.
I think that may be.
Oh, for sure. So this is somewhat related to the last bingo advisory opinion that we issued. And basically the gist of that is if the game awards $150, it's $150 prize. You can't divide it an infinite number of times to try to get around
Right.
the $50 prize exception. So
I
it's
agree. Yeah.
One game, one prize, basically. No matter how many times it's divided.
Well, because only one game was played, and that was my point as well. It's like, okay, great.
Should I told you?
I had a conversation on the phone.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone from the public have any questions? I only had one quick question, and this is back on your first presentation, which you've done a marvelous job, by the way. Very impressed. And I might add that audits have come a long way from what they were in the past. So kudos to y'all for doing a good job on that. My question is under professional standards. It says the bingo audit methodology and standards handbook. Is that something that's available to the general public? Are we allowed to look at that? In the past, there's been some questions whether we could see that or not.
No, it's not available in the public website. In terms of the bingo audit methodology and standards, it's basically based on the yellow book, which is the federal and state, they use the yellow book. Unfortunately for us, we can't 100% comply with the yellow book because how we play the bingo games. So we do adopt that. And also the internal audit institutions, they have the IAA standards. We adopt both of that. The bands is not available for public. We do review that every year to make sure we comply. The regulation you guys can find is the BEA and tech rule. Basically, the bands is formulated to comply with these 2. BEA, the Bingo Enabling Act, and the tech rule is Texas Administrative Code, which is, the 402 you guys all familiar with. These are the 2 main regulatory compliance. You can find it. All the audit is conducted to address the compliance component. If there's anything you found that is not, please let me know. I'll be happy to talk to the audit. Okay. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Sorry.
The only other small question I had, and it's probably because I'm not familiar enough with it. So please, if I'm putting somebody on the spot, let me know. Because that is not my intention here. On the annual risk assessment in the first presentation, it says charitable distributions. It says risk factors for an audit program described in TAC 402703 B2, charitable distributions as a percentage of gross receipts. And if I'm just completely off base here, please tell me, because that could probably be the case. But I thought we were operating on net proceeds now, or adjusted gross in receipts. Is there a different dynamic that we use on the audit side than the reporting side? I guess that's the right way. Am I phrasing that right?
I would have to look that up in the act.
It may just be a typo.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it is.
So it should be adjusted gross receipts. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry, it just caught my eye a minute ago, and I thought, wait a minute, I thought we were doing something different. Okay, sorry to put you on the spot like that. I apologize. That was not my intention. I was making sure I hadn't lost my mind.
Thank you.
I occasionally do. I occasionally do lose my mind. All right. Anything else? Any comment, Mr. Fenolio? No? Anyone else from the public? Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for your presentations. They were excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.
It was.
Right, that was awesome. Moving on to the next item, Mr. Breslin, sorry, legislative update.
Good morning, y'all. I appreciate you having me. I will be brief. I was alerted just a little while ago that Senate Bill 643 was reported from the House Licensing and Administrative Procedures Committee this morning. And I'm checking to see whether they sent that to the local and uncontested calendar or to the House floor. And despite my incredible influence at the Capitol building, I can't get anybody to answer me. So we'll maybe I'll find out and I'll text it to the chair. The bill is different from the way it passed the Senate, so it'll have to go back to the Senate if we pass it out of the House for concurrence. But the Senate knows that. They're expecting the changes that we've agreed to. That's all the stuff we've worked with the agency staff on, increases the number of temporaries, goes to an aggregate limit on regular bingo prizes to 5,000, takes the single game limit away. So you could work within that 5,000 to meet your needs. Very importantly, it retains the current methodology for remitting the local prize fees to the counties and the cities. There was some language that wasn't entirely clear when we gave the counties and the cities the opportunity to opt out or required them to opt in first. And the agency, to its credit, administered in conformance with the legislature's intent. This language just makes sure that the statute reads according to the way that it should have to begin with. We seem to have great acceptance across the street, and we've been treated very well. I can't believe I'm standing here on April 12th talking about a bill that's on its way to the House floor and it's already passed the Senate. So we're way ahead of where we were last time. The House has passed its version of the appropriations bill, House Bill 1. That's gone over to the Senate. Yesterday, the Senate Finance Committee substituted its version of that bill in and kicked it out of committee. And so that'll be going to the Senate floor shortly. And we're working with the commission to assure that there are adequate resources to fund the regulation of bingo consistent with the current law. And so if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Anyone?
I do want to say one other thing now that I'm thinking about it. There was a sports betting bill that was reported from the licensing committee. I keep asking all the lobbyists for the casinos and the sports betting people whether they have the votes. They need 100 votes in the House and 21 votes in the Senate. The common answer is we're still counting. Translated, that means They don't have them yet. So our world is not likely to experience dramatic change if it's sports betting. If it was casinos, of course, it would wreck charitable bingo without some kind of ability for us to have a different kind of game. So I'm not counting on us being wrecked, but we might have some folks using their cell phones to bet on the football, baseball, and every other sport played on the planet going forward. Sorry. Now I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone? Anyone from the public? Steve, we thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Sorry we didn't get you in earlier on the,
It's no
I know
problem.
your
Good.
time is very valuable.
On schedule, it's all good. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you very much, Steve. And Steve Fenolio, we appreciate you as well. Would you like to add anything to that?
Stephen Fenolio for the record. I had a discussion with staff earlier. There's one tweak in the bill, and I visited with Mr. President about it, having to do with section 2001-438. But Donna correctly pointed out that the unit is not punished, but the charities are if there's a violation. And the language we got from Ledge Council was if a unit is if a unit on which a penalty is imposed, and of course the bingo division doesn't impose penalties on units, they impose them on individual charities. And if it goes to the local consent calendar, as everyone knows, you can't amend the bill House floor. Then the bill has to go back in any event to Senate if it's on local and consent for receipt and concurrence. Timing is an issue. I'm not going to promise that we can get that language changed because it goes back to the Senate. If they make the change, then it has to come back to the House. And everyone knows the last 2 weeks of the session are fraught with peril. We're not there yet. Alternatively, if it's on the House floor, we should be able to make that change. Again, the bingo division doesn't impose penalties on units. They never have. They don't have the authority to. But we need to make that change to clarify it, and we'll do our best.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Emil Burgoyne, I'd like to add one thing about the legislative report. If we would all acknowledge that House Resolution 995 was filed that memorializes Will Martin of Victoria, and that we would urge our colleagues there to assist getting that resolution passed.
You said House Bill 915?
It's House Resolution 995.
Is it 995, correct?
That's correct.
Excellent. Thank you, Emil. I appreciate that. That's good news to hear. Okay. Moving on to old business. We had brought up about the nominations for the vacant seat on the Bingo Advisory Committee. I think we have at least one or two people that are on the nomination list for the vacant seat. If you would like to come up and tell us a little bit about yourself, tell us your name, and we would welcome you to do so. I believe there's one at least in attendance now.
Hello. First of all, my name is Stacy Johnston. I'm from Dallas, Texas. I'm part of School of Faith, operator for School of Faith Foundation there. I've been working in bingo for over 30 years. My mother was in bingo before that, so pretty much born in a bingo hall. I've performed every operation from floor worker to cashier to sales manager. Anyway, to be a nominee is an honor. Thank you. I would love to be on this portion of it, making legislation, making sure that bingo's around for generations to come. I love what we do. Our charities fund many Catholic schools in the Dallas area. Sorry, but thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you. Stacy Johnston. Does anybody have any questions for her? No? Well, we appreciate you being involved and being attentive to what we've got going on here. Are there any other nominees that are here by chance? Nope. All right, awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. I know we met at Charity Day at the Capitol, which we recently had over on the Capitol grounds, and we had big success on that, getting our charity message out to the legislators. So we appreciate you helping with that. All right, any other old business? Any public comments on old business? Moving on, new business. Anyone got anything new on the plate? Mr. Pinolio.
Mr. Pinolio again.
My name is Ronnie Baker, and I am older than dirt. I've been in bingo 43 years. Hey, Will Martin and I worked together on a number of counties. I know he was in touch with Steve, both Steves. And over a 2-year period, there was a proliferation over 130 game rooms that were actually paying cash. And Will was instrumental in providing the
That's always good news for the charities when the good on you for that work effort. Any other new business? The only other question I have, and I don't really think it's new business, is when a worker registers, I guess this is geared towards you, Tyler. When a worker registers to work in bingo, when they get registered and they're approved for that, they're allowed to work at any hall in the state, correct?
Yes, that's correct. They don't have to specify a location or anything the organization does on their application.
Gotcha. So if you want to be an operator on duty, you have to go through a little bit different process. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I think you have to undergo training, like an operator training, but I don't believe that's specific. That's kind of the organization's responsibility to ensure that their operators and officers have received proper training.
Gotcha. So if you take the operator training is the same for every organization, is what I'm asking.
Correct.
So the way I understand it, you have to be listed as an operator for each individual organization. Would it be prudent, or maybe we could have an opportunity to talk about maybe changing that to make it where if you take the generalized operator training for one organization, you're automatically verified for the next organization?
Yeah, I think we can look at that. I'm not sure that, I know the statute requires that each organization, that those people have the training, but I don't know that it requires that they need to be specific to that organization. You know, if you've undergone the training once,
right?
I think there may be some leeway in there for us to allow the one-time training to carry over to whatever other organizations. So the operator doesn't take it 5 times, right?
Right. Yeah, and I know it's. I know in a hall with more than 4 or 5 charities, or 3 or 4 charities, that it's difficult to get all the charities together to sign to get, the operators approved, and then they'll do that training all those different times. So if it's the same training, maybe next meeting or down the road or something like that, maybe we could have that conversation.
Sure, we'll look into it.
Excellent.
I guess my question is, they have to be appointed as a designated operator on that form. So each charity would have to add them individually. They'd only have to take the test once, but everybody would have to add them.
Right,
And they have
that's
to
what
go-
I'm saying. If it's kind of like the worker registry, if you're on the worker registry, you can work for anybody and you don't have to
You want them
be.
to go, be able to operate for anybody?
Since the training is the same for every organization, I thought maybe it would simplify the process for not only the staff, but for the operators as well.
So then that would eliminate the designated operator, application?
No, you'd still have to do it, but just for one organization. So if you were,
Done already.
Right.
yeah, if you'd done it already once, you would be
Yeah.
good. You would be eligible for, it's the word I'm looking for. You would be confirmed to do the work for the other charities in the same hall.
As long as they're appointed, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Right. Any other public comment for new business? All right. Well, we will move on to item number 11, and we will set the date for the next meeting. I think we've got some dates already picked out.
The next BAC meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 20th, which is the day before the next commission meeting, which is currently scheduled for June 21st.
Right. Okay, any issues with that, anyone? Any comments on that? We'll
Just an
Yes.
initial comment. I have several conflicts on that day. It won't prevent me from being on virtually, but my wife.
Oh, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Lost you.
I'm sorry, I thought I hit the unmute there. I have a couple of different conflicts. So my wife will be out of town for a work conference that day. And I'm heading to committee meetings in Arlington that afternoon at 1 and 2 o'clock respectively. That shouldn't hinder me from being virtual. I hate that I'm being virtual, but if that's the hard date, I'll have to attend that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Corey. All right. Well, we'll tentatively have to schedule it for that date because that's when we are available for the room. So we completely understand then. All right. Any other comments or questions? All right. We will consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.